Maya Collins stepped off the transport shuttle and onto the polished metallic floor of Nexus 7 station. Her heart pounded with excitement and nervousness. The massive space station floated between star systems, far from any planet. This place was home to the Galactic Peacekeepers Academy, the most respected military training center in known space. Maya had worked for 3 years to pass the entrance exams. Now she was finally here. She pulled her small travel bag higher on her shoulder and looked around. The arrival hall was enormous, with ceilings so high they seemed to touch the stars visible through the transparent dome above. Hundreds of beings moved through the space. Most of them were not human. Maya wore simple gray pants and a white shirt. Around her neck and left shoulder she had wrapped a flowing purple scarf. It was soft fabric, almost silk-like, and she had owned it since childhood. She touched it gently, making sure it stayed in place. The scarf covered her neck and draped down to hide her left shoulder completely. Around her the other new cadets arrived in groups. Maya saw creatures she had only read about in books. Tall beings with blue scales and multiple arms practiced fighting moves in a corner. Floating entities made of what looked like living light drifted past her. Massive warriors covered in natural armor that looked harder than steel stood in formation. Each species seemed powerful in their own way. Maya felt very small. "Did you see that?" a loud voice called out. Maya turned her head. A group of 5 alien cadets stood near the registration desk. They were all staring at her. The one who had spoken was huge, easily 4 meters tall. His body was covered in deep red scales, and smoke came from his nostrils when he breathed. His species was called Krynn, known across the galaxy as natural warriors. His yellow eyes fixed on Maya with clear amusement. "A human?" Another voice joined in. This one belonged to a female with purple skin that seemed to shimmer and change colors. "I cannot believe the Academy accepts humans now. They have no natural weapons at all." Maya kept walking toward the registration line. She had heard comments like this many times before. Humans were famous throughout space for being average. They were not the strongest species. They were not the fastest. They had no claws, no armor, no ability to breathe fire or shoot energy from their hands. Humans were just humans. "Excuse me." The deep rumbling voice came from directly behind her. Maya stopped and turned around. The massive red-scaled Krynn warrior now stood right in front of her, blocking her path. His name badge read Thrak'mor in Galactic Standard Language. He crossed his thick arms over his armored chest and looked down at her. His head was so high above hers that Maya had to tilt her neck back to meet his eyes. "Yes," Maya said calmly. Her voice was steady, showing no fear. "I am simply curious," Thrak'mor said. Other cadets began gathering around to watch. "What makes you believe you belong in this academy? Humans are weak. You have no natural defenses. No strength beyond basic levels. When the combat trials begin, you will be crushed." Maya adjusted her purple scarf slightly. The movement was quick, almost nervous. "I passed the same entrance exams as everyone else," she replied. "I earned my place here." Thrak'mor laughed. The sound was like boulders crashing together. Smoke puffed from his nose. "The exams test book knowledge and basic problem solving. They do not test real warrior ability. In actual combat, you will fail within seconds." He leaned down closer to her face. "Perhaps you should withdraw now. Save yourself the pain and embarrassment that is coming." More cadets gathered in a circle around them. Maya noticed a few other humans in the crowd. They watched but said nothing. She was alone in this confrontation. Some of the alien cadets looked at her with pity. Most looked entertained, as if this was a good show. "I will take my chances," Maya said. Her voice remained calm and quiet. She touched her scarf again, pulling it tighter around her shoulder. For just a moment, as the fabric shifted, something appeared beneath it. A pattern of some kind, dark against her skin. But Maya quickly adjusted the scarf back into place, and whatever had been visible disappeared under the purple cloth. Thrak'mor noticed nothing. He was too busy enjoying his moment of superiority. "We shall see, little human. Combat assessments begin tomorrow. I look forward to watching you fail." He turned and walked away, his heavy footsteps making the floor vibrate slightly. The crowd of watching cadets dispersed, many of them laughing and talking about the exchange. Maya continued to the registration desk. Her hands were steady as she presented her identification and received her room assignment. She showed no emotion on her face. Inside, though, her mind was racing. She had expected this. Humans were always underestimated. It had been this way her entire life. The orientation ceremony began 1 hour later in the main auditorium. Thousands of new cadets filled the massive room. Maya sat in a middle row alone. The other humans sat together in different sections, forming their own groups for safety and comfort. Maya preferred to sit by herself. At the front of the auditorium, a tall figure took the stage. Commander Felros was a Vorthax, a species known for wisdom and strategic thinking. Her silver fur seemed to glow under the lights, and her amber eyes swept across the crowd with authority. She was the head instructor of the academy. "Welcome, cadets," Commander Felros began. Her voice carried clearly through the space without electronic amplification. "You have come from hundreds of worlds. You represent dozens of species. Some of you are born warriors, bred for combat over thousands of generations. Others must work harder to develop your skills." Maya listened carefully to every word. "But I want you to remember something important," the commander continued. "The greatest peacekeepers in our history did not always come from the strongest species. They came from those who had determination, those who had heart, those who refused to give up when others said they would fail." Maya felt a small warmth in her chest at these words. But as the ceremony ended and cadets began leaving the auditorium, she heard whispers following her. "Look, there is that human. She will not last a week. Why do they even allow humans to apply? This is a waste of everyone's time." Maya walked through the corridors to find her assigned quarters. Her hand stayed on her purple scarf, keeping it perfectly in place over her shoulder. Tomorrow the real test would begin. Tomorrow she would face the combat trials. And tomorrow, perhaps, everyone would begin to understand that they had made a terrible mistake in judging her so quickly. She reached her small room and closed the door. Finally alone, Maya stood before the mirror. Slowly, carefully, she unwrapped the purple scarf from around her neck and shoulder. Beneath it, covering her left shoulder, extending up her neck and down her upper arm, was an intricate tattoo. It showed scales and curves, patterns that seemed almost alive in the light. The design looked like a dragon, ancient and powerful. But right now it was dark and still. Maya touched the tattoo gently. "Tomorrow," she whispered to her reflection. "Tomorrow they will see." She wrapped the scarf back into place and prepared for sleep. The combat trials would begin at dawn. Dawn came quickly on Nexus 7 station. Maya woke before her alarm sounded. She dressed in the standard training uniform, a flexible black suit designed to move with the body during combat. Over it, she carefully wrapped her purple scarf around her neck and shoulder, making sure every part of her left side was covered. She looked at herself in the mirror one last time, took a deep breath and left her quarters. The training arena was located in the central section of the station. Maya walked through corridors filled with other nervous cadets. Some traveled in groups talking quietly. Others walked alone like her, focused on what was coming. When she entered the arena waiting area, she saw hundreds of cadets already gathered. The room buzzed with conversation in dozens of languages. "Attention!" Commander Felros stood at the front of the room. Her silver fur caught the light as she raised one hand. The room fell silent immediately. "Today you begin your combat assessments. You will face holographic opponents programmed to test your abilities. Some of you will fight alone. Others will face multiple enemies. The computer will adjust difficulty based on your species and natural capabilities." Maya listened carefully. Holographic opponents were made of hard light, solid enough to hit and be hit, but safe enough that no one would die. They could still hurt though. She had heard stories of cadets leaving the arena with bruises and broken bones. "First group enter the arena," Commander Felros announced. Names appeared on the large screen behind her. Maya's name was not on the list. She watched as 20 cadets walked through the massive doors into the arena itself. Through observation windows, Maya could see the arena floor. It was huge, the size of several football fields. The first cadet stepped into a marked circle. Holographic enemies appeared around him, 3 armed warriors. The cadet was a Vorthax, fast and strong. He defeated his opponents in less than 2 minutes. The watching cadets cheered. One by one, cadets entered the arena and faced their trials. Most fought single opponents. A few faced 2 at once. Maya noticed a pattern. The stronger species faced tougher challenges. The weaker species faced easier ones. It made sense. The academy wanted to see how each individual performed at their best. After 2 hours, Maya's name appeared on the screen. She stood and walked toward the arena doors. Behind her, she heard whispers. "The human is next. This should be quick." I almost feel sorry for her. Maya stepped onto the arena floor. The surface was smooth and slightly springy, designed to absorb impacts. She walked to the center circle and stood waiting. The observation windows were packed with faces. Everyone wanted to see the human fail. The holographic system activated. Maya expected one opponent to appear. Maybe two at most. Instead, three figures materialized around her, surrounding her in a triangle formation. Each was armed with energy staffs. They were programmed to look like generic warriors about 2 meters tall with basic armor. 3 opponents? Maya heard someone say through the communication system. For a human? That seems excessive. It is a survival test, another voice responded. Let us see if she knows when to surrender. The holographic opponents did not wait. They attacked simultaneously from 3 directions. Energy staffs swung toward Maya's head, body, and legs all at once. Any normal person would have been overwhelmed in seconds. Maya moved. She dropped low and spun to her right, avoiding all 3 strikes. Her movement was smooth, almost like dancing. Before the holograms could adjust, she was behind one of them. She kicked the back of its knee, causing it to stumble. Then she rolled away as the other 2 attacked again. The watching cadets grew quiet. This was not what they expected. Maya did not fight like a human. Humans were known for being straightforward in combat, using learned techniques and practiced moves. Maya moved differently. She seemed to know where attacks were coming from before they happened. When a staff swung at her head, she was already ducking. When an opponent lunged forward, she was already stepping aside. One of the holographic warriors swung its staff in a wide arc. The move was fast, powered by the computer to match speeds that few species could avoid. Maya leaned back, her body bending at an angle that should not have been possible. The staff passed centimeters from her face. As she came back up, she grabbed the staff and used its momentum to throw the hologram off balance. How is she doing that? Thrak'mor's voice carried across the observation area. Humans do not have those reflexes. Maya spun between her opponents, staying in constant motion. She did not try to overpower them. Instead, she used their own attacks against them. When one struck, she would position herself so another opponent was in the way. When 2 coordinated an attack, she moved to a spot where the third blocked their path. Her tactics were brilliant. During a particularly aggressive rush from all 3 opponents, Maya dove forward into a roll. Her scarf loosened slightly from the movement. As she came up onto her feet, the purple fabric slipped down her shoulder several inches. For just a moment, intricate patterns became visible on her skin. They looked like scales, dark and detailed, covering her shoulder. The pattern seemed to shimmer slightly in the arena lights. Most watchers were focused on the fight itself and missed it. But a few noticed. Commander Felros leaned forward in her observation booth, her amber eyes narrowing with interest. She had seen something important. Maya quickly pulled her scarf back into place with one hand while dodging another attack with her body. The holographic opponents were programmed to keep fighting until they won or were defeated. They showed no mercy. They would not stop. But Maya had no intention of losing. She began moving faster now, her earlier caution replaced with confidence. She swept the legs out from under one opponent, causing it to crash to the ground where it dissolved into pixels. 1 down. 2 to go. The remaining 2 holograms changed their strategy. They attacked together, perfectly synchronized. Their staffs moved in patterns designed to leave no escape route. It was a technique that required the opponent to either block or take the hit. There was no room to dodge. Maya did not dodge. Instead, she stepped forward into the attack, getting inside their reach where the staffs could not hit her effectively. She struck one hologram in the center of its chest with her palm, a move that looked simple but somehow sent it flying backward. It hit the arena wall and dissolved. The final hologram hesitated, as if the program was confused by what had happened. Maya did not give it time to recover. She moved like water, flowing around its desperate attacks, and delivered a precise strike to its neck. The hologram froze, then disappeared. The arena fell silent. Maya stood alone in the center circle, breathing heavily but steady on her feet. Her scarf was back in place, hiding her shoulder completely. She looked up at the observation windows where hundreds of alien faces stared back at her in shock. Commander Felros activated the communication system. Her voice carried across the arena. Combat trial complete. Victory to Cadet Collins. Time, 4 minutes, 18 seconds. There was a pause. Impressive work, Cadet. Maya bowed slightly toward the commander's observation booth, then walked off the arena floor. As she passed through the doors back into the waiting area, the other cadets moved aside to let her through. No one spoke. No one laughed. They simply watched her walk by with new expressions on their faces. Confusion. Surprise. Respect. Thrak'mor stood against the far wall, his yellow eyes fixed on Maya. His expression was unreadable. As Maya walked past him, he spoke quietly. That was not normal human ability. Maya paused but did not turn to look at him. Perhaps you do not know humans as well as you think. She continued walking to the exit, her hand resting on her purple scarf, keeping it perfectly in place. Behind her, the whispers began again. But this time they were very different from before. 3 days passed after Maya's surprising victory in the combat trials. During that time she attended classes and training sessions like all the other cadets. But everywhere she went, beings watched her. They whispered when she walked by. They stared during meals. The small human who had defeated 3 holographic opponents had become the subject of constant discussion. Maya kept to herself. She spoke when spoken to but made no effort to make friends. Her purple scarf remained wrapped around her neck and shoulder at all times, even during physical training. Some instructors questioned this, but academy rules allowed personal clothing items if they did not interfere with safety equipment. Maya's scarf was thin enough to fit under her uniform, so they permitted it. Thrak'mor watched her constantly. The massive Krynn warrior could not accept what he had seen. Humans were weak. Everyone knew this. Yet Maya had moved with speed and awareness that rivaled the best warriors in the academy. It made no sense. It angered him. More than that, it embarrassed him. He had publicly declared she would fail, and instead she had succeeded brilliantly. On the 4th day during the afternoon meal period, Thrak'mor made his decision. The dining hall was crowded with hundreds of cadets eating and socializing. Maya sat alone at a small table in the corner, eating her food quietly. She wore her standard training uniform with the purple scarf visible at her neck. Thrak'mor stood up from his table where he sat with other Krynn warriors. He walked across the dining hall toward Maya. His heavy footsteps made the floor vibrate slightly. Conversations stopped as cadets noticed where he was going. Within seconds the entire hall grew quiet. Maya looked up from her meal as Thrak'mor's shadow fell across her table. She showed no surprise on her face as if she had been expecting this. "Maya Collins," Thrak'mor said loudly. His voice carried across the silent hall. "I invoke the right of formal challenge. I challenge you to single combat before the academy." A gasp went through the crowd. Formal challenges were allowed by academy tradition. They were meant to settle disputes and prove honor. Once issued, a challenge could only be declined if the challenged party admitted inferiority. If accepted, the combat would be real, supervised by instructors, and the entire academy would watch. Maya set down her fork carefully. She looked up at Thrak'mor's face so far above her own. "On what grounds do you issue this challenge?" "You have brought doubt to the natural order," Thrak'mor declared. "Humans are not warriors. Yet you display abilities that do not match your species. I believe you are using illegal technology or enhancements. I challenge you to prove you are fighting fairly." This was clever. Thrak'mor was not simply calling her weak. He was suggesting she was cheating. If Maya refused the challenge now, everyone would believe his accusation. She had no choice. "I accept your challenge," Maya said calmly. She stood up from her table. Even standing, the top of her head barely reached Thrak'mor's chest. "When and where?" "Tomorrow at dawn. The main arena. Full combat rules." Thrak'mor smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "I will prove that humans do not belong here." "We shall see," Maya replied quietly. That evening, word of the challenge spread through the entire station. By nightfall, every cadet, instructor, and staff member knew about it. Some thought Maya was brave. Others thought she was foolish. A few humans approached her, begging her to withdraw, saying that Thrak'mor would seriously hurt her. Maya thanked them for their concern but refused to back down. Commander Felross summoned Maya to her office late that night. The commander's quarters were filled with weapons and artifacts from dozens of worlds. She sat behind a desk made of dark wood from Earth, studying Maya with her wise amber eyes. "You do not have to do this," the commander said. "Thrak'mor is one of the strongest cadets in this academy. His species is built for combat. You could be seriously injured." "I know," Maya answered. "But if I refuse, no one will respect me. They will always believe I cheated during the trials. I must do this." Commander Felross was silent for a long moment. Her eyes seemed to see more than they should, as if she could look through Maya's clothes to what lay beneath. "There is something different about you," she said finally. "Something the others have not yet understood. Whatever it is, be careful tomorrow. Know when to yield if necessary." "I will," Maya promised. Dawn came cold and bright. The main arena was packed with spectators. Every seat in the observation areas was filled. Cadets who could not find seats stood in the aisles or pressed against the windows. This was the most anticipated event since the academy term had begun. Maya entered the arena wearing her standard combat uniform. Her purple scarf was wrapped carefully around her neck and shoulder as always. She walked to the center circle calmly, her face showing no fear. Thrak'mor entered from the opposite side. He wore traditional Krynn combat armor, plates of natural scale reinforced with metal. He stood over 4 meters tall, his muscles clearly visible beneath his armor. He looked like a living tank. The crowd cheered when they saw him. Commander Felros stood in a neutral observation box. Her voice carried through the arena speakers. This is a formal challenge combat. Rules are as follows. Fight continues until one party yields, is unable to continue, or I declare a winner. Lethal force is forbidden. Do both parties understand? Yes, Thrak'mor rumbled. Yes, Maya said. Begin. Thrak'mor did not hesitate. He charged immediately, closing the distance between them in 3 massive strides. His fist came down toward Maya like a falling boulder. She rolled aside at the last instant. His fist hit the arena floor with a boom that echoed through the space. The surface cracked slightly from the impact. Maya moved constantly, staying away from Thrak'mor's powerful strikes. She did not try to attack. Not yet. She was studying him, learning his patterns. But Thrak'mor was fast for his size, and his reach was enormous. Every dodge brought her closer to danger. Stop running, human! Thrak'mor roared. Fight me! He lunged forward with both hands outstretched, trying to grab her. Maya ducked under his arms and finally struck back, hitting his ribs with her fist. It was like punching solid stone. Thrak'mor barely seemed to feel it. He backhanded at her with one massive arm. The blow caught her shoulder and sent her tumbling across the arena floor. The crowd gasped. Maya rolled and came up on her feet, but she was clearly hurt. Her scarf had loosened from the impact. She tried to adjust it, but Thrak'mor was already charging again. This time when she dodged, Thrak'mor anticipated it. His clawed hand shot out and caught her uniform at the shoulder. The fabric tore with a loud ripping sound. His claws continued through and caught the purple scarf. The delicate material shredded completely. The scarf fell away in pieces. Revealed beneath it was Maya's left shoulder, neck and upper back. Covering her skin was an intricate tattoo. It showed a dragon, detailed and beautiful, with scales and curves that seemed almost three-dimensional. The dragon's body wrapped around her shoulder, its head reaching up her neck, its tail flowing down her arm and back. But this was not an ordinary tattoo. As thousands of eyes focused on it, the tattoo began to glow. Golden blue light emerged from the lines of the dragon, soft at first but growing brighter with each second. The light pulsed like a heartbeat. The dragon's scales seemed to shimmer and move. The entire arena fell absolutely silent. Even Thrak'mor stopped his attack, frozen in shock. Maya stood straight. The light from her tattoo grew brighter, casting shadows across the arena floor. Her eyes reflected the same golden blue glow. When she spoke, her voice carried a resonance it had not had before, as if 2 voices spoke together. You wanted to see what makes me different, Maya said. The glowing dragon on her shoulder pulsed with light. Now you see. The dragon tattoo blazed like a star, and Maya's true nature was finally revealed to all. The golden blue light from Maya's tattoo filled the arena like a small sun. Every eye stared at the glowing dragon wrapped around her shoulder and neck. The intricate scales seemed to move beneath her skin, alive with ancient power. The light pulsed in rhythm with Maya's heartbeat, growing stronger with each moment. Commander Felros stood abruptly in her observation box. Her amber eyes were wide with recognition and disbelief. She pressed the communication button with a trembling hand. Stop the combat. Stop it now. But Maya raised one hand. No, Commander. Let me finish this. Her voice carried that strange double resonance, as if someone else spoke through her alongside her own words. In the observation areas, older instructors began whispering urgently to each other. Some pulled out data tablets and searched frantically through historical records. A few simply stared with expressions of awe and fear. Drakonai, one elderly instructor breathed. It cannot be. They are extinct. Gone for centuries. Thrak'mor stood frozen several meters away from Maya. His yellow eyes were fixed on the glowing tattoo. For the first time since the combat began, he felt genuine fear. What are you? He asked. Maya's glowing eyes met his. I am what I have always been. A human. But I carry something ancient within me. She took a step forward. The light from her tattoo brightened. When I was 8 years old, my family lived on a frontier colony world called Haven's Edge. We were explorers, researchers looking for new places humans could settle. One day while exploring caves in the northern mountains I found something. As Maya spoke, her mind drifted back to that day so many years ago. She remembered being a small child, curious and unafraid, crawling through a narrow cave passage her parents had told her not to enter. She remembered finding a huge cavern filled with strange blue crystals that glowed with their own light. And in the center of that cavern she had found something impossible. A being of pure energy floated there, shaped vaguely like a dragon from Earth legends. It was enormous, filling half the cavern, but also seemed weak and fading. Its light flickered like a dying candle. When young Maya had approached, the being had opened eyes that held the wisdom of ages. "I am Serath'ir," the being had spoken directly into her mind. "I am Drakonai, the last of my kind. For 10,000 years, my people chose worthy warriors from across the galaxy and bonded with them. We shared our knowledge, our power, our very essence. Together we brought peace to countless worlds." Young Maya had not been afraid. She had reached out her small hand toward the magnificent creature. "Why are you alone? Where did the others go?" "Time takes all things," Serath'ir had answered. "My people grew old and faded. One by one they chose their final rest. I am the last and my time grows short. But before I fade completely I must pass on what I am. I have searched for decades for one worthy to receive this gift. And then you walked into my cave, small child from Earth. I looked into your heart and saw something my people always valued. Courage without cruelty. Strength without pride. The ability to stand against hate with kindness. What happens if you give me this gift?" Maya had asked. "You will carry my knowledge, my skills. My essence will merge with yours. You will become more than human but never less than human. You will be the bridge between what was and what will be." The Drakonai's light had pulsed softly. "But it is a heavy burden for one so young. I will not force this upon you. You must choose." Maya remembered looking into those ancient eyes and feeling no doubt. "I choose to help you. I choose to carry your gift." The bonding had been painless but overwhelming. Light had poured from Serath'ir into Maya's small body, flowing like water, settling into her skin in the shape of a dragon. Knowledge had flooded her mind, fighting techniques from 100 extinct civilizations, wisdom from thousands of years, the accumulated experience of the Drakonai themselves. When it was over, the great being had faded to nothing, and Maya had walked out of the cave changed forever. Now, 17 years later, Maya stood in the arena with that same power glowing on her skin. She looked at Thrak'mor and spoke again. "The Drakonai chose warriors not for their natural strength, but for their character. They bonded with beings from dozens of species. Some were strong. Some were weak. But all had the heart of a true protector." She moved forward smoothly. "Let me show you what I carry." Maya's movement changed. Before she had been fast and skilled. Now she became something else entirely. She flowed across the arena floor like liquid light, her body moving in ways that defied normal physics. The glowing dragon on her shoulder blazed brighter. Thrak'mor roared and charged at her with all his strength. His massive fist came down with enough force to crack stone. Maya did not dodge. Instead, she stepped into the attack and deflected it with a gentle touch to his wrist. The redirection was perfect. Thrak'mor's own momentum carried him past her, off balance. Before he could recover, Maya demonstrated a technique from an ancient warrior race called the Kalshan, extinct for 3,000 years. She moved in a circular pattern, her hands and feet striking precise points on Thrak'mor's armor. Each touch looked soft, almost gentle, but sent ripples of force through his body. The Krynn warrior stumbled, his balance completely disrupted. The watching crowd sat in absolute silence. They were witnessing combat techniques that existed only in historical records, moves that no living being should know. Thrak'mor roared in frustration and swung wildly with both arms. Maya ducked beneath them and demonstrated another ancient style, this one from the Vex'ral people who had been legendary warriors 5,000 years ago. She struck his chest with her palm flat, and though it looked like a light push, Thrak'mor flew backward 3 meters and crashed to the ground. He struggled to his feet, breathing heavily. "This is impossible. No one can know these techniques. They are lost to history." "Nothing is lost," Maya said. Her voice carried both sadness and pride. The Drakonai remembered everything. Every warrior culture they encountered, every fighting style they witnessed, every technique they learned in 10,000 years of existence. All of that knowledge lives in me now. She demonstrated a defensive form from the Quintera, then shifted immediately into an attacking style from the Horvath, then flowed into a movement pattern from a species whose name was forgotten even by the Drakonai. Each technique was perfect, executed with the skill of a master who had practiced for decades. Thrak'mor tried to fight back, but he might as well have been fighting smoke. Every attack he made, Maya countered with ancient knowledge. Every move he attempted, she had already seen performed by warriors dead for millennia. She was not just fighting him. She was showing him the accumulated wisdom of galactic history. Finally, with a move so fast it seemed like teleportation, Maya stepped inside Thrak'mor's guard and touched 3 specific points on his armor. The Krynn warrior froze, unable to move. It was a nerve strike technique from a warrior race so ancient that even their world no longer existed. "I could hurt you," Maya said softly. The dragon on her shoulder glowed with gentle light now, no longer blazing. "The knowledge I carry includes ways to cause pain that would make you beg for mercy. But that is not why the Drakonai existed. They were peacekeepers. Protectors. They fought only to defend, never to conquer or destroy." She stepped back and released the pressure points. Thrak'mor could move again, but he did not attack. He simply stood there, staring at her with new understanding in his yellow eyes. "You wanted to prove I do not belong here," Maya continued. "You wanted to show that humans are weak. But the Drakonai did not choose me despite being human. They chose me because of what humanity represents. We are not the strongest or fastest. We are not the smartest or most powerful. But we can adapt. We can learn. We can bring different people together. Those are the qualities the Drakonai valued most." Maya turned toward Commander Felros. "I yield the combat. I have proven what I needed to prove." Thrak'mor dropped to one knee, his head bowed. It was a gesture of respect among Krynn warriors, given only to those who had truly earned it. "I was wrong," he said. "Forgive my arrogance." The arena remained silent for 3 heartbeats. Then applause began, soft at first, then building into a roar that shook the station. Commander Felros called an emergency assembly of all Academy instructors within 1 hour of the combat's end. Maya sat in a small conference room, still wearing her torn uniform, her dragon tattoo visible for everyone to see. The glow had faded to a soft shimmer that pulsed gently with her breathing. 20 instructors from different species crowded into the room, all of them staring at her with expressions ranging from wonder to disbelief. "I need to understand this completely," Commander Felros said. She sat across from Maya, her silver fur bristling with tension. "The Drakonai were legends from ancient history. We have records of them, stories passed down through thousands of years. They were beings of pure energy who bonded with warriors and brought peace to countless conflicts. But the records say they all faded away centuries ago. How is this possible?" Maya touched her tattoo gently. Even that soft touch made the dragon's scales shimmer with light. "Serath'ir was the last. He waited alone for decades, searching for the right person to carry his legacy forward. When my family came to Haven's Edge, he found me." She looked around at all the watching faces. "I was 8 years old. Just a child. But he saw something in me that made him choose to pass everything on before he faded completely." An elderly instructor named HFY leaned forward. He was from a species called the Morthek, known for their historical knowledge. His 4 eyes blinked slowly. "The records speak of Drakonai bonded warriors with reverence. They were the greatest peacekeepers the galaxy has ever known. They could end wars with their presence alone. Armies would surrender rather than face them in battle." He paused. "But the records also say that bonding with a Drakonai changed a person fundamentally. It was not just training or knowledge transfer. It was a merging of souls." "That is true," Maya confirmed. "Serath'ir lives within me. Not as a separate consciousness but as part of who I am now. His memories are my memories. His skills are my skills. When I fight, I draw on 10,000 years of accumulated combat knowledge." She smiled sadly. "But I also carry his loneliness. His sense of loss for all the other Drakonai who are gone. His hope that maybe, through me, their legacy can continue." Commander Felros stood and walked to the window overlooking the station. "Why did you hide this? When you applied to the Academy, you could have revealed your bonding. It would have guaranteed your acceptance. Instead, you kept it secret and let others mock you." "Because Serath'ir taught me that true strength does not need announcement," Maya answered. "The Drakonai never flaunted their power. They used it only when necessary to protect and to teach. I came here to learn how to be a peacekeeper in this modern age, to honor the Drakonai tradition properly. If I had revealed the bonding immediately, people would have treated me differently. They would have feared me or worshipped me, but they would not have seen me as just another cadet trying to learn." Another instructor spoke up, a female Zul'Hari whose skin changed colors with her emotions. "What are your intentions now? With the power you carry, you could demand almost anything." I intend to continue my training, Maya said simply. I intend to become the best peacekeeper I can be. And if others wish to learn from what I carry, I will teach them. That is what the Drakonai did. They shared their knowledge freely with anyone worthy of receiving it. The meeting continued for 2 more hours. Instructors asked questions about the bonding process, about what abilities Maya possessed, about the ancient techniques she had demonstrated. Maya answered everything honestly and completely. Finally, Commander Felros dismissed the other instructors and spoke with Maya alone. You carry a heavy burden, the commander said quietly. Being the last keeper of an ancient legacy is not easy. I know, Maya replied. But I accepted this burden willingly. And I do not carry it alone. Serath'ir is still with me in a way. And now I have this academy, these instructors, and perhaps even some fellow cadets who might understand. Commander Felros nodded slowly. Starting tomorrow, we will make arrangements for you to teach additional classes. Any cadet who wishes to learn from you will be given that opportunity. Your knowledge is too valuable to keep hidden. She placed one hand on Maya's shoulder, carefully avoiding the glowing tattoo. The Drakonai chose well when they chose you. Word of what had happened spread through the station like wildfire. By evening, every being on Nexus 7 knew that a Drakonai-bonded warrior walked among them. Some were afraid. Most were simply amazed. Maya returned to her quarters and found a dozen messages waiting for her. Other human cadets had sent notes of congratulation and pride. Alien cadets had sent requests to speak with her or train with her. One message was from Thrak'mor. It was short and direct. I wish to learn from you. I wish to understand what the Drakonai saw in your species. Please allow me this honor. Maya smiled as she read it. She sent back a simple reply. Training ground. Tomorrow at dawn. Bring an open mind. The next morning, Maya arrived at a smaller training area designated for her use. She expected to find Thrak'mor waiting alone. Instead, she found 30 cadets gathered there. Thrak'mor stood at the front, but behind him were Krynn, Vorthax, Zul'Hari, humans, and a dozen other species. They all looked at her with respect and curiosity. We all wish to learn, Thrak'mor said. His voice held none of its earlier arrogance. If you will teach us. Maya felt warmth spread through her chest. The dragon tattoo on her shoulder glowed softly in response to her emotion. The Drakonai believed that knowledge should be shared, not hoarded. I will teach anyone who genuinely wishes to learn. She began that first lesson not with combat techniques but with philosophy. She sat on the training mat and gestured for the others to sit as well. 30 cadets settled onto the ground, forming a circle around her. The Drakonai chose warriors from many species, Maya began. Her tattoo pulsed gently as she spoke, as if Serath'ir himself approved of this teaching. Some were strong like the Krynn. Some were fast like the Vorthax. Some had natural weapons or armor or special abilities. But strength alone was never what made someone worthy of bonding. She looked around the circle, meeting the eyes of each cadet. They looked for character. They looked for beings who would use power to protect, not to dominate. Who would seek to understand before fighting. Who would show mercy to defeated enemies. Who could see beyond their own species and understand that we are all connected. A young Zul'Hari raised her hand. But why did Serath'ir choose a human? No offense intended, but humans are one of the weakest species physically. None taken, Maya said with a smile. And that is exactly why he chose a human. Think about it. Humans have no natural weapons. No armor. No special abilities. We are average in almost every measurable way. But we survived and spread across the galaxy anyway. How? The cadets thought about this. Finally, Thrak'mor spoke. Adaptability. Humans can live almost anywhere. They learn quickly. They work together despite differences. Exactly, Maya confirmed. And those are the traits the Drakonai valued most. They did not want warriors who relied only on natural gifts. They wanted beings who could adapt, who could learn, who could bring others together. Humans excel at those things. We have to, because we cannot rely on being the strongest or fastest. She stood and gestured for the others to stand as well. Today I will teach you a basic Drakonai technique. It is not about strength or speed. It is about awareness and balance. Any species can learn it, regardless of physical abilities. For the next 2 hours, Maya taught the group a meditation and movement exercise that Serath'ir had learned from an ancient people called the Trenka. It helped develop spatial awareness and balance control. The cadets struggled at first, but Maya was patient, correcting postures and explaining the underlying principles. Thrak'mor, despite his massive size, tried earnestly to learn. He fell several times attempting the balance poses, but he kept trying. Maya appreciated his determination. After class, he approached her as the others were leaving. "Thank you for teaching us," he said. "I have learned more in 2 hours than I expected. Not just about fighting but about humility." He paused. "I was wrong about humans. Wrong about you. I judged based on appearance and assumption. The Drakonai were wise to see deeper." "The Drakonai were wise about many things," Maya agreed. Her tattoo glowed softly in the morning light. "But they were not perfect. They made mistakes too. They struggled with doubt and fear like any being. What made them great was that they never stopped trying to be better, to understand more, to bring peace where there was conflict." Over the following weeks, Maya's classes grew. More cadets joined. Some instructors even asked to observe and learn. Maya taught ancient combat techniques, but also philosophy, meditation and conflict resolution methods that the Drakonai had developed over millennia. Her dragon tattoo became a familiar sight around the academy, glowing softly as she moved through the corridors or led training sessions. One evening, as Maya stood alone on an observation deck looking out at the stars, Commander Felros joined her. "You have changed this academy," the commander said. "Cadets from different species now train together regularly. They share techniques and learn from each other. There is less rivalry and more cooperation. This is exactly what peacekeepers should be." Maya touched her tattoo gently. "This is what Serath'ir hoped for. Not that I would be some legendary warrior standing alone, but that I would be a teacher and a bridge." The Drakonai bonded with warriors not to create weapons, but to create connections between different peoples. "You honor their memory well," Commander Felros said. Maya smiled as her tattoo pulsed with gentle golden blue light. Somewhere deep within her, she felt Serath'ir's approval and pride. The last Drakonai was gone, but the legacy lived on. And through teaching, through bringing different beings together, through showing that strength came in many forms, Maya carried that legacy forward into a new age. The dragon on her shoulder glowed softly against the starlight, a symbol of ancient wisdom guiding the future.